Hi, everyone. I'm Yoni Assia. I'm the CEO and founder of eToro. And I want to talk today about the fact that I still don't have the presentation here on my screens. So I'm waiting for a second for the slides to come up. I want to talk to you today about a concept that I've been passionate about for the past 10 years. How do you solve one of the biggest challenges in the world today, which is wealth inequality? Today, the 20% of the richest people in the world own 94% of the wealth in the world. Even more mind-blowing, the 42 richest people in the world own the same amount of wealth as the poorest 3.7 billion people. Now, this problem is just getting worse and is growing. And research shows that inequality leads to crime, to violence, to economic instability, and to polarization of political governments and political instability. And it's just going to get worse in the next 10, 15 years. With robots, AI, and machine learning, it is expected that more than 800 million human jobs are going to be replaced by automation, making things much, much worse. Luckily, a lot of smarter people than I am have thought about a solution. This solution was first mentioned by Thomas Paine in 1792 and is called universal basic income. It's a very basic concept that says that every person in the world should basically get a guaranteed basic income. Now, people from the entire sort of political, philosophical, and economic sides have thought about these different solutions, whether it's Martin Luther King in the 60s, whether it's today's Tony Stark, Tesla's Elon Musk, who continuously speaks about how AI is going to basically take all of our jobs, mentioning that UBI is a possible solution. Mark Zuckerberg, who continuously speaks about universal basic income as a solution to help people pursue their purpose. And even Nobel Prize-winning economist Milton Friedman, who very much supports the concept of free market economics, suggested that this could be the way to get people out of the poverty trap. The poverty trap is very simple to understand. Think about playing Monopoly with friends, but you're the only one who's not getting any money to start with. It would be impossible to play, it would be impossible to win. The concept of UBI says you can get some basic income so you can basically start playing the game. And this enables people to basically get out of the poverty trap, and it enables people to and more research shows that if you give that basic income to people, it enables them to get out of the poverty trap and to gradually educate themselves and grow into the economy and participate in the economy. I've lost my slides again. But the problem with UBI is that all of the research currently on UBI talks about a solution that governments need to do. And trust in government currently is in an all-time low. Most people don't want to pay more taxes to actually support more people. And even if they would, a government can't solve the problem on a global scale. And then comes another huge revolution. The revolution of cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, and blockchain technology. And the revolution creates a technology that suddenly has a system that's accessible to everyone around the world, is exchangeable to local currency in almost every country and around the world, has low fees for people to transfer funds from one to another, and also inspired an amazing generation to start thinking about decentralization and decentralized projects that are not controlled by anyone and can be independent of government and politics. But, and I'll be the only person in the crypto community to actually quote Nouriel Roubini, the problem in the cryptocurrency community is actually worse than the inequality problem in the traditional economy. If you look at the Gini coefficient, and this is quoting Nouriel Roubini, of Bitcoin, it is actually worse than North Korea. So we've built this new amazing technology, but this technology is not really helping us to solve the problem. The Good Dollar experiment, which we're now sponsoring and researching at eToro, is about building a fairer economy that can reduce wealth equality through blockchain technology. We've found more than 30 different groups around the world actually discussing and creating solutions for that exact same problem using blockchain technology, and have opened up a group called OpenUBI to figure out how can we use this technology in order to solve the problem. The Good Dollar experiment, by definition, is accessible to everyone, is exchangeable with other currencies, has low transaction fees, and a fairer wealth distribution. There are three main pillars of research we're looking at. One is social identity. How can basically a decentralized system know who people are and therefore distribute funds fairly? Social interest, which is what is the logic in which the system basically pays the people? And social governance, or basically how do you build this as a completely decentralized autonomous organization? If you think about one of the biggest issues today with cryptocurrencies that leads into negative narrative is the fact that cryptocurrency is anonymous. And therefore, a lot of people are considering cryptocurrency bad or used for bad or illicit things. A core part of the Good Dollar is to basically build a social identity system. When you register into the system, you register with your actual identity, and other people basically verify that you are who you say you are. In our day-to-day lives, we constantly meet people, and we trust that they are who they say they are without asking them for a proof of identification and a proof of address. But in the digital realm, we haven't solved that yet. We're looking at various solutions, but in essence, we're basically removing from the problem the privacy issues as we're building a transparent money system. We believe that if people use money in a transparent way, it by definition will cause the entire system to be better, or for that money to be used for good. The second part is how do you create more money? How do you create social interest? And how do you distribute it fairly? And through smart contracts, basically, it's quite easy to constantly mint new coins. But the real question is how do you distribute it fairly? And then you need to answer the question, what is fair? We've been looking at the research of John Rawls from the 70s, where he says social and economic inequalities are to be arranged so that they are to the greatest benefit of the least advantaged. If you think about today interest rates, by definition, all the interest rate, or the majority of the interest rate, will go to the rich because they hold the majority of the wealth. When we're looking and researching about social interest rate, the concept is to actually distribute the 10% to the poorest people. The way Rawls defined it is you actually take the interest rate and give it to the poorest person until he's not the poorest anymore. Then you give it to the second poorest people until they're not there, and again and again and again, and therefore constantly improving wealth equality in the system. We've been researching this as the way people research income and wealth inequality in the world, and have shown that this significantly improves the Gini coefficient within the ecosystem. And if you run this continuously over years, it significantly improves wealth inequality. Doesn't matter how much people are actually contributing and creating free markets in the system. The third part is, how do you build this in a decentralized way? And I think today, through the cryptocurrency movement, people understand that you're actually able to build decentralized autonomous organization. You can consider Bitcoin one of those, a completely decentralized organization running a cryptocurrency that's now available in more countries than any other currency in the world. And the idea is you can build code which governs the system. And what we want that code to do, that DAO to do, is to enable people, to enable NGOs potentially, to actually invest or donate into the good dollar smart contract, therefore basically increasing the monetary value of the smart contract of the entire good dollar economy, and distributing then those proceeds for everyone in the ecosystem. And the idea is to build it in such a way which is completely decentralized, that nobody can control actually the code on its own, no single corporation or country, and to truly build something that is built by the people, for the people. The way it actually works is, if we'll take, for an example, a random name, Mark, and Mark wants somehow to contribute to Open UBI, then they would invest into the smart contract, let's say $1 billion. That would increase the price of the good dollars by 10%, therefore increasing the entire ecosystem by $10 billion. And since there's a 10% interest rate or inflation rate, that means that those $1 billion suddenly become $1 billion that are being distributed continuously every year in the system. And we've been working together with some universities on the concept of sustainable finance for it. The DAO part, it's important to note that this is all initial research into how to build those systems and how to run them. And we're looking at the time horizon of what we're building as a series of experiments over the next couple of years, currently sponsored and funded by eToro. The reason this is very important is because we do not know when is going to be the inflection point. I started thinking about the good dollar in the midst of the financial crisis in 2008, where people were afraid to put the money in the banks. They were trying to figure out what to do with their money. We're seeing in more and more countries basically either political unrest or economic instability, which pushes people into cryptocurrencies. And somewhere in the next maybe 5, 10, or 20 years, we're going to see more countries actually flocking into cryptocurrencies. It's our responsibility to make sure that there are also good cryptocurrencies trying to solve the solution of wealth inequality. What we're announcing today is basically our funding to this research, an invitation for people who can help us research this, build this, make this a reality. We're a group of economists, developers, and computer scientists who are looking into this problem. And we'll also be releasing today our position paper, as well as some of the code that we've already developed in our various POCs. I'm very excited personally about this project, since I've been thinking and talking about it for the past 10 years. And up until the past 12 months, probably, nobody would have given me a stage to talk about it. So thank you very much, and appreciate. Thank you.